Dr. Danti, Associate Professor in Department of Physiology, Sree Balaji Medical College. I have 10 plus years of teaching experience and 8 internationally and national published journals. Also, I have research experience for guiding medical students for ICMR funded projects. So, today's topic is regarding cerebellum. Let's move on to the topic. So at the end of this session, you are able to describe the functional divisions of cerebellum and list the connections of cerebellum, and you should be able to explain the functions of cerebellum, then few applied aspects, and finally you should be able to describe the cerebellar function tests. So moving on to the topic, what is this cerebellum? So the cerebellum is located posterior to the brainstem, mainly in the posterior cranial fossa. So it is the tissue which is folded. The cortical tissues in the cerebellum is folded and it divided into two hemispheres, and it is in the center. The cerebellum is having a vermis area. So the two cerebral hemispheres are attached with the brainstem, pons and medulla with the help of the superior cerebellar peduncle, middle cerebellar peduncle and inferior cerebellar peduncle. So the superior cerebellar peduncle attaches the cerebellum with midbrain, middle cerebral peduncle attaches the pons with the midbrain, and inferior cerebellar peduncle attaches the medulla with cerebellum. So next is the functional divisions of cerebellum. So the functional divisions can be anatomical divisions also and physiological divisions. So for anatomical divisions there are three lobes: anterior lobe, posterior lobe and flocculonular lobe. So this anterior lobe is divided from the posterior lobe with the help of the primary fissure, and posterior lobe is divided by the secondary fissure, that is also called as posterolateral fissure, from the flocculonular lobe. So it has another division that is called physiological division. So that is called, one is vestibulocerebellum, spinocerebellum and also the cerebrocerebellum. So vestibulocerebellum is also known as archicerebellum, spinocerebellum also known as paleocerebellum, and vestibulocerebellum is included with the flocculonular lobe and few parts of the central median lobe. Then paleocerebellum is included with the anterior lobe and few parts of the posterior lobe. And finally the neocerebellum, also known as cerebrocerebellum, which is having the rest of the posterior lobe and lateral hemisphere. So this is how the structure of the cerebellum will be. So in the base there is a plate-like structure that is called flocculonular lobe, which comes under the vestibulocerebellum, and then the lateral hemisphere and few parts of the posterior lobe comes under the cerebrocerebellum, or also called as neocerebellum. Then the central median portion, that intermediate zone of the hemispheres and few parts of the anterior and posterior lobes comes under the spinocerebellum, also called as paleocerebellum. So there are few layers which is present in the cerebellum. So it is divided into three main layers. One is grey matter, white matter and deep nuclei. So this grey matter includes cerebellar cortex. So cerebellar cortex is having another three layers, that is the molecular layer, Purkinje cell layer, granular cell layer. So this molecular layer is also called as outer layer, and granular layer is the inner layer of the cerebral cortex. Then the Purkinje layer is the middle layer. So it has few cells and fibers in the cerebellar cortex. So the cells are Purkinje cells, granular cells, Golgi cells, stellate cells and basket cells. And there are some fibers which is present in cerebellar cortex are climbing fibers, which will be receiving inputs from the inferior olivary nucleus, mossy fibers from the fibers of the granules, and also parallel fibers. So these are the three different fibers which is present in the cerebellar cortex. So what are the connections of cerebellum? It has both afferent connections and efferent connections. So afferents mainly it receives all the somatosensory inputs from all the part of the body, even including the sensory, special sensory inputs like visual inputs and auditory inputs. Everywhere this receives the inputs via the following tracts like vestibulocerebellar tract, dorsal spinocerebellar tract, ventrospinocerebellar tract, cuneo-cerebellar tract, tectocerebellar tract, and then pontocerebellar tract. Also olivary cerebellar tract. So these are the tracts which receives the inputs and sends to the cerebellum. Then moving on to the efferent connections of the cerebellum. So it do the all functions like correcting the motor activity, maintaining the posture and balance. So for that it sends the efferents to thalamus, red nucleus, reticular nucleus, then vestibular nucleus and inferior olivary nucleus. So how the outputs are sent? So via the vestigial nucleus through the inferior cerebellar peduncle, it sends the outputs to vestibular nucleus and inferior olivary nucleus. Then via the dentate and interposterior nucleus, it sends the outputs to thalamus, red nucleus and reticular nucleus via superior cerebellar peduncle. So what are the functions of cerebellum? So it regulates the muscle tone, it helps in coordinating the goal-oriented and spontaneous motor movements. It helps in correction of posture and balance. It also involved with the eye movements and motor learning. Also it involved in the cognitive functions for language and learning skills. So mainly it does almost involves all the functions of the body. So what is the main function of the cerebellum is it receives the inputs from the motor cortex and it optimizes all the inputs and it corrects the functions. So if any posture correction is need to be done, so it sends the stimulus via the thalamus to the motor cortex. Then from the motor cortex the response will be sent to the skeletal muscle. So it is like a almost like a scanner. So cerebellum will be doing the error correction mechanism. So how it will be done? For example, if a person need to run in a runway which is having a multiple stones again. So what will be the sensory inputs via the visual? All the sensory inputs will be sent to the motor cortex and from there it will be receiving inputs to the spinocerebellum. Then from there it will be analyzing the activities. So motor cortex sends the signals to muscles for the motor activity as well as to the cerebellum. Then this will be, our cerebellum will be receiving signals from the joints of our body, tendons, skin and vestibular apparatus and visual inputs. Everything will be gathered and this will be analyzing. So if stones are there, the persons need to move the body and they have to run away from the stones if they want to run in the runway. So for that, so it need to correct the posture and it need to change the muscle tone in the flexor and extensors. So this corrections all will be modified by the Purkinje cells in the cerebellum. This information will be sent to the motor cortex via the thalamus and then from the motor cortex the information will be passed to the skeletal muscle. So this is how our cerebellum helps in correcting the posture and equilibrium and helps in maintaining the balance, then helps in all the motor activity. So what happens if any lesion occurs in the cerebellum? So that is called cerebellar disorder. So this can occur if any ischemia, reduced blood supply to the cerebellar tissues, demyelination of nerve fibers and in any tumors compressing in the cerebellar nucleus, then degeneration of nerve fibers, in chronic alcoholism, in malnutrition and in medulloblastoma. All these conditions can lead to cerebellar disorder. So if the cerebellar disorder occurs, there will be few clinical features we can assess. So there will be disturbance of the posture, there will be loss of equilibrium, there will be intentional tremors, there will be hypotonia, the muscle tone will be decreased and there will be changes in the reflex response. Also there will be disturbances in the voluntary activities. So these are the features of the cerebellar disorders. So now how we can assess this? With the help of the cerebellar function test, simple clinical test itself we can assess the cerebellar disorder. So in upper limb we have finger nose test, circle in the air, dysdiadochokinesia. So finger nose test is the person or the patient will be asked to touch the finger of their own tip of the finger or the doctor's or the examiner's finger and they have to touch the patient's their own nose tip. So if they are having difficulty in touching in the alternative movement, so the coordination will be lost. Then in cerebellar disorder the coordination will be lost. If they are able to do, then the cerebellum is functioning good. Then circle in the air, drawing the circle with the help of the finger of the tip. So if they are not able to do, then the cerebellar disorder is present. And likewise in lower limb we have few tests like knee heel test, circle in the air and tandem walk, walking in the straight line. So the persons with cerebellar disorders will not able to do all these tests and Roberg sign will be positive in the cerebellar lesion. Also gait will be the cerebellar ataxic gait will be present. So this is about the cerebellar function test. So with this I will wind up the cerebellum topic. So for any further reading you can go through the books I have given. So once again I will meet you all with another topic. Thank you.